Stipe manages to catch him with like a little stinging shot, and John's like, "Oh, I'll back up a little bit." Stipe follows him, and he presses him against the fence. And then the commentary is like, "This is not where you want. This is not where you want to be against John Jones. This is not where you want. You don't want to go there with that guy. He's dangerous out of those positions." As the commentary is this, putting down the actions of Stipe Miocic for pushing Jones and a slightly rocked Jones against the fence. He just throws a blistering uppercut and catches Jones, and Jones's legs go all stiff and he wobbles around, he falls down, and Stipe just follows him and just mollywops him, smashes his face into the fucking canvas. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at UFC 309, John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I'm not going to waste time. Let's get straight into it. First up, Veronica Hardy versus Eduarda Morda. Eduarda Morda. I don't know how you pronounce it. My apologies. Easy pick for me. I'm going with Hardy. She's on a decent 3-fight win streak. She's a little bit shorter. She's a little bit less reachy. But she's got the momentum on her side, and that means a lot. Whereas Mora's looking to bounce back. While she's good, I think she fades as the fight goes on. Whereas Veronica's a lot better at pacing herself, in my opinion. So yeah, I think Hardy takes a decision. I don't see a finish, but I could see her taking a decision, most definitely. So that's Veronica Hardy by decision. Next up, we've got Oban Elliott versus Basil versus Basil Hafez. I'm going with Oban Elliott. I think he's got a better ground game. He's got them slick submissions. I'm not even sure if Hafez even has a ground game, to be fair. But I think Elliott's got the submission skills. He's got the jits game. And I think in the standing, he's just got better hands. Again, I don't know if Hafez has much to offer in the stand-up either. But yeah, I could see Elliott just kind of sticking to the outside and picking away at him with a little jibby jab, and just kind of controlling the fight that way. So yeah, we're going to go with Oban Elliott. I'd see that being another decision also, but we shall see. Next up, Mickey Gall versus Ramiz Brahima. Boom. Mickey Gall versus Ramiz Brahima. They're both terrible. They're both stinky poo. They're both stinky poo fighters, to be honest. They're both horrifically. In my notes, it says both fighters horribly inconsistent. Gall is fighting to stay in the UFC. He's lost fucking 4 of his last 5 fights, and he's on a 3-fight losing streak. It's not good. It's not very good at all. Whereas Brahima, he's also super inconsistent, according to my notes. These are both stinky poo fighters. This is impossible to predict. We'll go with Ramiz. It's a pick 'em. They're both terrible. But we're going to go with Ramiz because I've got to pick one for the sake of the video. I think he's just gonna outdo Mickey Gall. I think Mickey Gall's done. I think the pressure is going to be too much. Yeah, I'm confident picking Ramiz. We'll do that. We'll pick Ramiz. Next up, Marcin Tybura versus Jonathan Diniz. Diniz is equipped to sleep Tybura. Like, genuinely has the tools to sleep him. He's also a lot younger. A fair bit younger. I'm not actually completely certain of the age difference, but I know he's younger. He's a fair bit younger. And these guys are just kind of 2 fat guys. It is a bit of a 2 fat guys fighting kind of heavyweight fight. I'm not gonna lie, but Tybura's not afraid to win the fight boringly, and he will hold a guy down and pin him against the fence for a whole fight and just have control time and not really give the judges anything to judge and just kind of give him the win based on position. But to be honest, I could see Diniz knocking him out. He's equipped to do it. I like him for it. I could see Jonathan Diniz knocking out Marcin Tybura. People have done it before, so why not, right? Why not? A new up and comer. Let's see how it goes. I'm gonna go with Deniz. Pick on Deniz, probably by TKO. I'm picking a TKO for Deniz. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. So next up, we have Roberto Romero versus David Onama. Um, Probably gonna go with David Onama. Um, he's fighting a guy who hasn't even been to the UFC yet. This guy, I'm sure this is on short notice as well. So I think it'd be foolish not to pick Onama. So I'm going with Onama. Next up, I'll probably by TKO as well, but we'll go with Onana. Next up, Jim Miller versus Damon Jackson. I got distracted. Tough one for me. I find it hard to pick Jim Miller at the age of 41, but he's still doing it. He's coming off of a loss, but so is his opponent, Mr. Jackson. So it's a bit of a tough one. I think I'm going to have to go with Jackson, though. Fuck it, you know what? No, we're not. We're going Jim Miller. He's got the old man strength. He's got the old man cardio. He's not going to quit. We're going Jim Miller by decision. Why not? Jim Miller by decision. Such a bad pick. He's good though. He's still good at 41. That's such a bad pick. Why did I do that? I'm sticking with it too. I'm not even going to change my mind. Next up, Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. Hope that's how you pronounce that. Level with me here. I'm going Chris Weidman by flying eye poke in round 2. No, what can I say? Weidman should be finished. He had a decent eye poke KO his last time out, I think it was. He's getting on in years. He's not the fighter he was before the leg kick. I think everyone knows that. Before the leg break, even. And I think he's just kind of on borrowed time at this point. I think they don't want to get rid of him because he's the guy who beat Anderson Silva, and they kind of want to still have him out there because he's still a name. He's going to be in the history books for that. Regarding the sport for being the guy who did it, who dethroned Anderson. But is he going to make a title run? Probably not. Is he going to beat Eric Beak? Is he going to beat Eric Is he going to beat Eric Anders? Probably not. So yeah, I'm going to pick Anders. Probably decision. Weidman's still tough unless his leg snaps in half again. I could see it going to a decision. Next up, Jonathan Martinez versus Marcus McGee. I want to go with Marcus McGee. Just as I think he's going to have better hands. I think he's going to have better boxing. I think he's going to piece up Martinez. He's going to piece him up. Martinez has got good leg kicks. He's got really good leg kicks. But I think Marcus negates that by being inside the pocket and being so close that the leg kicks can't really be utilized effectively. And that's his style of fighting. And I think it's going to go his way because of that. I could see this being kind of a sleeper fight. But I think Marcus McGee, at the ripe old age of 41, 41, 30, 34, right? Maybe 33. Have I even written it down? No, I don't care to check. I think Marcus McGee gets it done by a second round TKO. That's my prediction. Going wild today. Giving you rounds and methods. Going fucking great. Mauricio Ruffy versus James Lintop. Lontop, Ian. Lintop, yeah, Lontop. Now, I've been avoiding picking Brazilians for the past few events, as you may well know. However, I do always caveat this with you can pick a Brazilian when they are the cream of the crop. Now, Mauricio Ruffy comes from a little gym known as the Fighting Nerds, and if you're not familiar with the Fighting Nerds, they're the next big thing, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Look at Gene Silva, right? John Silva, however you pronounce his name, absolute monster. Everyone's terrified to fight him. And the guys at the gym are saying Mauricio Ruffi is the toughest of all of them. So we're going with Ruffi. Um, Going by TKO probably. However, it's the fighting nerd, so you could probably submit him too. They're very well rounded as a gym. Um, so yeah, keep an eye out for any fighting nerds, guys. Any fighting nerds, guys. Next up, Karine Silva versus Vivian Arujo. Arujo? That's how you pronounce it. Karine Silva versus Vivian Arujo. Quite an even matchup physically, but Vivian's on the older side. Yeah, she's on the older side. I don't think she's got the skills to pay the bills. Um, I think Karina Silva absolutely wins the decision. Yeah, I could see Karina Silva winning a decision. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with Karina Silva. It's got to be Karina Silva. Nice and easy, right? As always, if you're unsure about a women's fight, just bet that it goes to distance, and you're probably right. That's mean. You say that, and then there's a knockout. Next up, Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig. When I heard this fight, I was in work, and a friend of mine came up to me and said, "Have you heard about Paul Craig?" And I was immediately like, "What's going on with Paul Craig?" I think the previous news to that was that he was injured, but what's going on with Paul Craig? I did ask, and my friend informed me that he was going to fight Bo Nickel. To which I said, "Is he mad? Why would he want to do that? Why would Paul Craig want to fight Bo Nickel? Why would he accept that fight?" To which a stranger who was just passing by uh, chimed in with, "Why wouldn't he? He's gonna win." So yeah, will Bo Nickel derail the hype? Will Bo Nickel's hype train be derailed by Paul Craig? There's a potential for it. So Bo Nickel's like top of the top wrestler, right? He's like the guy when it comes to wrestling in the UFC at the minute. Unless your name ends in a V and you're from an Agistan type of place. Um, but Bo Nickel's your American wrestler type. Paul Craig's like one of the best in the UFC with his jits game, but not much else. So yeah, I think Bo Nickel's probably going to be better in the stand up as well. So Paul Craig only has his guard, but Paul Craig only ever has his guard, and he does derail hype trains. In fact, he beats guys and then they go on to become champions. So does he beat Bo Nickel? If he beats Bo Nickel, that means Bo Nickel goes on to become a champion. But if Bo Nickel beats him, he could still go on to become a champion. But it's like if you get beat by Paul Craig, you're likely to be a champion if you take a fight on short notice next, right? I'm gonna have to pick Bo Nickel, as much as I want to pick Paul Craig because he does have the ability to win this fight, but I don't think Bo Nickel's going to give him the chance. I don't think he's going to go to the ground. Why would Bo Nickel need to risk it? He can just control the fight with his wrestling. He can control where the fight goes with his wrestling. If he doesn't want to go to the ground, he can keep it standing. If he needs a second on the ground for whatever reason, he can change that up, put you on the ground, stand back up, and take his second to catch his breath. He can put it against the fence. There's more he can do with a wrestling style than you can with a jit style, which is kind of just pull guard or go for some flying shit. So or get knocked on your ass and then just open your legs and hope the guy dives into your guard. So you can throw up a triangle or something. Um, so yeah, so I've got to pick Bo Nickel just for logic's sake, but I'm gonna have a bit of side action on Paul Craig because he's a big underdog, rightfully so. He's a big underdog, but he does kind of shine in these situations. So yeah, I'm gonna have a little bit of a side action on Paul Craig, but for the main prediction video, it's gonna be Bo Nickel. But I guarantee you, I'm gonna have a side bet on Paul Craig submission. But for the video, we're going Bo Nickel. Next up, co-main event: Charles Oliveira, our boy Charlie Olives, versus Michael Chandler. This is a rematch, by the way. Um, they fought like 3 years ago, something like that, maybe 4 years ago. Oliveira knocked out Chandler because Chandler puts his hands down as he retreats. Um, Oliveira knocks down and finishes everybody who doesn't keep their hands up as they retreat. That's kind of Oliveira's speciality. And Chandler, while improving slightly, hasn't improved as much as Oliveira has in the time between their last meeting. And as well as that, also hasn't seemed to correct the dropping the hands and leaning back as you retreat kind of method he's got. Um, so I could see it going exactly the same way, unless training for McGregor for 2 years, obsessing over fighting McGregor for 2 years has um, given Chandler some sort of edge in the strike, and maybe like I was training for McGregor's left hand, so Charles Oliveira stinging me on my terrible retreat isn't going to do nothing. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe something like that takes place. Maybe he's just so angry and ready to call out McGregor with a win again that like he goes out there and just goes ape shit. But no, honestly, Charles Oliveira is going to win. By TKO probably, but I could see him submitting him too. Charles Oliveira is going to win. It's his fight to lose. Um, but it would be something if Chandler won. I just don't see it happening. I think he gets stung again, and maybe even earlier than last time. To be fair, I think from that point it just kind of spells the end of the fight. Sad to say it, but Charlie Olives is the boy. Charlie Olives is the man. So yeah, we're going to pick Charles Oliveira. Finally, we're here. My chance to complain. Now, you may have noticed this video has gone out later than I would tend to normally put out my prediction videos. Normally, if I miss putting it out on like the Tuesday or the Wednesday, I just don't bother doing it. But I deliberately waited because I wasn't sure if Stipe Miocic was going to do us all a favour and get injured and let Tom Aspinall absolutely smash John Jones to the ground. But then John Jones wouldn't take that fight on short notice. He wouldn't fight Chael Sonnen on short notice. So why would he fight Tom Aspinall on short notice? There's nothing I want more than Stipe Miocic to absolutely chin John Jones for overlooking him. I think the MMA space is overlooking him a little bit too much. He's still the most winningest heavyweight champion we've ever had, I suppose. But yeah, he's old. He is old, and it's reasonable to say he's old. He probably shouldn't be there. Probably should be retired, to be fair. But what can you do, right? They've lured him out. They found someone John Jones isn't scared to fight. And it turns out it's an old man. So is he really any better than Jake Paul? Probably not. But whatever. I've got to pick somebody, right? But it's obvious I'm picking John Jones. But I had a dream. I had a dream Monday night, or Tuesday morning when I woke up. I had a dream, and it was John Jones was dominating the fight, and Stipe manages to catch him with like a little stinging shot, and John's like, "Oh, I'll back up a little bit." Stipe follows him, and he presses him against the fence, and then the commentary is like, "This is not where you want. This is not where you want to be against John Jones. This is not where you want. You don't want to go there with that guy. He's dangerous out of those positions." As the commentary is this, putting down the actions of Stipe Miocic for pushing Jones and a slightly rocked Jones against the fence. He just throws a blistering uppercut and catches Jones, and Jones's legs go all stiff and he wobbles around, he falls down, and Stipe just follows him and just mollywhops him, smashes his face into the fucking canvas. Herb Dean finally jumps in after finishing his blunt and sorting out his glaucoma. Jumps in there. He's like, "Oh, stop. And then, everyone's like, Stipe did it. Stipe did it. And then John Jones' wife cries and she's like, "Finally, someone taught you a lesson for doing what you did to me." That was the dream I had. That was the dream I had. And it was marvellous. But we don't live in dreamland. Okay? We live in a world where MMA maths doesn't add up. And it's a dark, grim place where PED cheaters who beat their wives and crash into pregnant women on drunken benders. They're allowed to get whatever they want, to fight whoever they want. That's the world we live in. That's how it is. They gave him the gloves he wanted. They didn't. Not using the new gloves. They're not using the anti-eye pokey gloves. They're using the fucking. You're gonna be poking him in the eye. You're gonna be poking an old man in the eye. That's ridiculous. Does anyone else agree that John Jones fighting Stipe Miocic is tarnishing his legacy? His legacy, by the way, which is just PED failures, eye pokes, and women abuse. Right? He wins the fight. He beats Stipe Miocic, but this isn't the fight he should be having. It's kind of a joke. He's probably no better than Jake Paul when you really think about it. A little bit different. Jake Paul's a lot younger, and he's fighting someone a fair bit older. More so in age difference, but it's for the same reasons. You're picking a guy that you think you can beat because you think you're sure you can beat him. It's just kind of pathetic. But whatever. John Jones wins. He probably wins inside of 3 rounds. I could see Stipe's tough. I could see him dragging it out to a decision, but I do think John gets it in 3 rounds. I just see it. So that's that. Thank you very much for watching the video. That's my rant over. Until next time, keep your chin down, keep swinging. Peace and love. I'll see you around. Okay.